Well, I want to go over some of the shill alert type things that should be put on YouTube more than the shills themselves. I got alerted to this channel, and I guess this channel maybe, I don't know, maybe they're a little aggressive sometimes, but I never saw this channel before, but I want to put out something that I noticed, and I'm not going to get on with just reviewing this channel or anything, but I looked at one or two of the videos and I says, well, yeah. He's got a whole page on here. It's an alien fossil project. He's got a whole page on here about shills. Mark Dice is considered one. Russell Brand, Alex Jones, Luke Rudowski with the We Are Change. Alex Jones again, Russell Brand. And I agree that these people are shills, and you left some out, I guess, like Jesse Ventura even, and Ben Fulford, and David Wilcock, and who the hell else, right? Also, the Russian guy, what's his name? Gerald Celente, the one that loves Russia so much. Yeah, well, I agree with that. There is, and this is actually the deal is, and he's got it right here, controlled opposition. Controlled opposition. That's always been it. Yeah, David Icke. I forgot about him, man. Big time. And you notice they're making very lucrative amounts of money on the media airwaves because they're supported from behind the scenes by the big money. Now, I'm going to get on a couple things here, actually different twists, and so I'm not going to just harp on this one subject. And, you know, I really get aggravated at some of these clowns that are the shills because I don't even think they're entertaining or intelligent. I really don't think they are. I think I'm far more intelligent than Mark Dice by a freaking 20 million miles. I just can't believe this garbage. But I don't think any of these. Well, you know what the problem is? Their audience isn't that smart, so they get fooled. Actually, I just want to point out some of the things, like, you know, just kind of diverging on different subjects here, but not exactly diverging. You know, King Richard III. I'd bring in his subject up because they actually just found his bones in a parking lot in England. I don't know what it was in. They're digging up a parking lot. They actually figured out it was him. It was his DNA, and they figured out how he died. He was a gruesome death. He was basically, his horse got stuck, and he was on foot, and they basically took bits of scalp out of him, punctured his cheeks, and then finally killed him with various pointed instruments to the brain. But actually, you know, they made him look like a bad guy, and he was not. He was not a bad guy. Richard III, the Tudors actually made him look like a bad guy. And it goes to show you how, even way back when, popular opinion can be swayed very easily by the powers that be. Controlling the popular opinion is important. So I know a lot of people are aware about the major media, but you got the major alternative media, and people go, well, why are you criticizing them? Well, I realize the major alternative media is the controlled opposition. As we were just saying here, you know, controlled opposition exposed. You know, I don't know how well, I didn't really get through, like, I already know what these guys are about, but it's amazing that there's millions of people that don't know what they're about, or they still listen to them because they think they can figure out where they're lying, even if they figure they're controlled opposition. I don't bother listening to any of these yo-yos that I know are controlled opposition, which is Mark Dice, Russell Brand, Alex Jones, David Icke, Ben Fulford, Jesse Ventura, David Wilcock. I don't know who the hell else. I'm leaving some out, but you know, that's just how I see it. I don't even bother trying to look for their information because they get all their information off the major media. It's just that you got to dig. So I'm trying to be more, but I don't like focusing on these negative topics as much because you actually got the power to freaking change stuff immediately, but people get disheartened. And if everybody pulled the lever on a vote the other way, even if it's rigged, I'll tell you, I'm gonna comment a little further on this deal because I think a lot of it is due to fake Christians that are not taking charge and are just hiding behind their book and they're not being real. How's that? But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about this guy. I'm actually going to flip around here, but it's all about Shills and actually bringing out what's going on behind the scenes. Now, this guy, Donald Marshall, I'm up in the air on. I don't know what the heck the deal is with him, really, to think about. But what really piqued my interest with him is how he called out the same people I think are Shills, including Jordan Maxwell. Now, he didn't say that, but I say he is, are basically controlled opposition. The fact that Donald Marshall actually called those same people out that I think are controlled opposition made me give him a lot more credibility. And I just want to point to something else, because something else cropped up very recently. I'm going to point the link onto this. It's a YouTube video. It's child killing by royalty, Soros, and it's an eyewitness. And I'll go into real briefly who she is. It's a transcript of. I'll point to the link where it is. You can read it. I'm not going to tell you the whole thing on this deal, just to give you a brief overrun. You can go and dig into it after this. Transcript of Anne Marie Van, was it? I can't even say this. Blazenberg's testimony about child murders in Belgium. And she goes, her name is Anne Marie. I've been married for 24 years to Kees van Kolar. Together with his three brothers, Kees van Kolar forms a criminal organization known as the Octopus Syndicate, and they put a note that that's a slang term in Holland for the modern Italian-based mafia. Okay, so what they do is they take children out of these youth detention centers, and the criminals are asking basically for children for the Dutch court. And the detention centers think it's a great thing. Oh, wow, we got the children to go into the Dutch court and everything. And they give them up, and they give the files for certain children and it turns out all the stories about drugging, torture, rape, and brutally murdered and stuff, and all the child sacrifice she's alleging is happening. I found it interesting because it's the first time I saw something like that anywhere. Well, it's not the first time. There's a lot of... You start piecing together the pieces, there's a lot of stuff going on that's really presenting a mosaic that at least some of the stuff Donald Marshall says is true. Now, the one part I can't get is his consciousness enters his clone at a remote cloning station while sleeping, but I don't know. I'm not going to freaking judge it one way or the other. As a matter of fact, when I read, if or whenever, very rarely, I used to read it, the Bible, I don't take it like it's fact. Like I take it on I don't take it on fiction. I don't take it on fact. I entertain the thought that it may be true and it may not be true. That's how I look at things, objectively and reasonably. I don't take anything where it's guaranteed to be a fact, no matter what. Now, another thing Donald Marshall talked about was cloning. And I'm showing a picture here of Dr. Robert Otto Becker from the 70s. Actually, he was one of the ones that pioneered in microbiology with using microelectricity. He was actually regrowing limbs on rats with microelectricity. It's in a species of animal that's not supposed to be able to regrow limbs. But he was defunded. And I was thinking, wow, that's crazy he was defunded, because you think about all the soldiers and Marines and sailors and airmen that may have had such severe injuries that they lost a part of their body. Why not, keep this funding going? Maybe they can regrow and regenerate that part of the body through this type of new technology that Dr. Robert Otto Becker was embarking on with, experiments with rats. And it seemed like it was working. But, I started thinking, I says, if you take that exponentially higher, why could not the tissue from a person be grown in the right nutrients and the right solution with the right type of microelectrical stimulus to reproduce the entire person? It may be what's going on. I don't know. It's not like that would be far more advanced, far more advanced than Robert Otto Becker did, but I do know what he did back in the 70s, and I just kind of wonder what the government might have in secret. They could have a lot more. Now, I want to also point out something about what Donald Marshall talked about with the Nazis and stuff. Well, he said that a lot of them actually escaped, and the clones were punished. They weren't actually the real ones. I don't know if that's true or not, but this is one thing where I suspect highly that the New World Order, the impetus for the New World Order, like I know on YouTube, they always say it's Jewish, right? They always say that. The New World Order is, or Zionists. They say Zionists, right? Well, I don't think so. I'm going to state this, that a lot of the top Nazis actually, I think, escaped, which was, and I'm not going to say I just think, because Adolf Hitler, now this is a picture of Auschwitz at the camp back in 1944. Now, Adolf Hitler actually was never found, nor Eva Braun. Now, I know there's stories that they escaped via U-boat to Antarctica, and from there and went to Argentina. I think they were all part of the inner circle, and the ones that got punished were the Germans. Now, the one part I don't like about today is if they had an 18-year-old concentration camp guard that was told to guard the camp, and today he's 90 years old or 95 or 88, and he's being hauled off for a trial in Germany. I don't like that stuff. Actually, I think a person like that, if they were going to make use out of him, he should be giving some speeches, at least via on tape or something, that, you know, how he didn't know like what was going on and how you can easily get fooled, and use it as a lesson for future generations rather than punishing this guy that probably didn't know a damn thing what was going on back when he's 18. I think that's when this stuff with, you know, the Nazi hunters are getting a little overboard, whereas the very top Nazis probably got away with it. Now, another ones that also disappeared was these ones called the Vrills, the Vril Society. These are the ones, these ladies were the ones that supposedly were communicating. Now, I know it sounds far-fetched, but they supposedly were communicating with beings or something, or other dimensions, or I don't know what the hell. You know, I'm not into that stuff, but that's stuff that even Donald Marshall talks about. But the thing is, after World War II, these are more people that basically nobody knows what the hell happened to them. Nobody knows. They just disappeared off the face of the earth. And actually, all the references to the Vril Society in Germany, when they were writing down some type of history, I think it was endorsed or paid for by the Rockefeller Foundation, they basically left a lot of this stuff out. So, I mean, that's giving a little more credence to probably some hidden technologies that we might have had here on Earth many thousands and thousands of years ago or something, or somebody had, I don't know. Let me put it this way. I don't actually believe something and say, yeah, that's the way it is. I entertain a thought that, is there a possibility? Yeah, maybe. That's about it. I don't like go off and say, yeah, that's the truth. I don't say, you know, because I know there's people out there that say it was the human race that was so far advanced way back when Atlantis was around and nobody could prove Atlantis. And I know there's people that say it was the aliens that had it. And, you know, I don't know. Okay? But I do know, what I find highly suspicious is, these ladies of the Vril Society, which were supposedly the number one people that are given the information as to where to find all the high-end technology for the top Nazi weapons and stuff, they disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to them after World War II. And the body of Eva Braun and Adolf Hitler turned out not to be them when they examined the bodies later and stuff like that in the 90s. It's definitely not them. So they disappeared. Which tells me there's a bigger power out there besides Jewish people controlling the earth. Okay? Common sense. Now, another thing out there, I'm going to tell you where you see a lot of buzzword in the shill media is change. You know, this is a big, you know, this is the Luke Kandowski, whatever the hell his damn name is. I forgot his name, man. With We Are Change. Luke Rudowski, excuse me. But anyway, it's like, where the hell are they? You know, there's actually quite a bit of financing going on. I remember even when he got an interview with one of the Rothschilds, he's like accusing him of, I don't know, all this stuff. Personally, me, I would have been semi-nice to the guy. I mean, not like totally. I would ask him some tougher questions. I mean, I would ask him something like, "Yeah, we know like a lot of popular opinion is about the Rothschilds," and I says, "Well, what do you think about having the aspect where hemp could be regrown for all the peoples on this earth?" And he might say something positive about that because the real power family that is controlled in the oil industry is what do you call it? The Rockefellers, not the Rothschilds. You know, that's the Rothschilds. They're in the oil industry, but I think it's more the Rockefeller family. And I got suspicion because I got suspicion about these guys that it's almost like you could play one against the other a little bit, not a lot. But sometimes it plays to be smarter, to be a little shrewd. But I think when Luke was interviewing him, it was just a big show. It was almost like when Alex Jones stumbled in on the, what do you call that thing out there back in 2000 when he walked into, with the owl and the sacrifice and all that type of stuff. When he just stumbled in there and he just exposed everything. He happened to have his camera and all that type of stuff. Of course, I'm doing this right from the hip here, and I'm forgetting what the heck it is again, but I think you know what I mean. It's like, how does Luke get an interview with the Rothschilds like that on the street? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's giving this guy more credibility so people follow him around. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. The case with Donald Marshall, it's interesting because he says some stuff he says a lot of stuff that's, well, everything he says is far out there, but some of the far out stuff could possibly be more true, in my mind. A lot of other stuff, I'm like, well, baby, I don't know. But one of the biggest things that actually gives him a lot more credibility to me is the fact that he's calling out a lot of these people as disinformation, opposition type people, and you note that the biggest opposition type alternative media is the most lucrative. They got the most views, they got the most viewers, they got the most financing, and they're not telling you the truth, man. It's bullshit. That's what I'm saying. Actually, I think this guy Donald Marshall might be onto something, but I must hate to say it because it's too damn far out there. But the other thing is with the alternative media is like they seem to be constantly blaming the Jews on everything, and I'm not buying that deal either because it seems like, well, first off, whether you agree with the number of people that died in the Holocaust or not, there was millions of people that died. I mean, I know if you make the number, instead of 6 million, you come up. I know there's a researcher that came up with 5,200,000. But then some other researcher will come up with a number that's less, and then another one comes up with a less, till there's no Holocaust, right? I'm like, that's what gets me about even arguing the number, because they'll argue it down to zero, But what I'm really kind of suspicious of is that the people on the top of the Nazis were not exactly what a lot of people think they were. I think they were actually working hand in hand with the New World Order, and the plot was against just the destruction of humanity, the destruction of Germany, and the destruction of a lot of Jews. That's what I think it really was about. Because there's too many people that were too important, and these girls in a Vril society were a very much, a part of, what was the embryo of the most secret information going on to the Nazis. Even though you're thinking, wow, maybe how could they be? But a lot of the high-tech weapons probably did come from their clairvoyant remote viewing or whatever the hell they did to tell the Nazis where to find the stuff. And oh yeah, I just remembered what I missed talking about with Alex Jones when he went to Bohemian Grove, and I think it was August 2000, and he happened to just walk in and waltz in there where nobody else can get in there, traipsing around, a couple 100 pounds, breaking every twig in a freaking bush. Crunch, 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 crunch. And he's got his camera, and he happens to be there right at the right time when they're doing his ceremony, which doesn't go on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It only probably happens once. And he happened to be right there at the right time, and nobody else seemed to get in there. And this was about 8 months after he lost loads of credibility to, all his wacky predictions about Y2K and the Russians were sending their missiles over. Don't forget this type of stuff, man, because the guy they're all bullshit. I'm telling you, anybody that's got some major bucks on the media, alternative media outlets. I look at Gerald Celente. I hate listening to the guy. The guy is freaking puts me to sleep, man. He's boring as shit. He's boring as all hell, man. And I don't understand why the hell this guy is popular. And I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm realizing he's like telling everybody in the United States, go against America. Go against everything in the United States what we stand for. Go kiss Vladimir Putin's ass. Go kiss the Russian oligarch's ass. That's what he's telling you to do. That's not what you want to do, man. It's almost like, the way they set up King Richard III. The Tudors set up King Richard III. They got the population to go against a good, generous guy. He was a good guy. And, turned out history proved itself later, but in the meantime, the Tudors freaking got all the money and power. I'm gonna state this here at the end. Actually, the number one thing that is the problem with everything is not the elite. It's the people themselves. It is the people themselves. The people themselves just want to get behind easy, fast solutions, giddy rumors, slogans. Slogans like, this here. Change. It reminds me of Clinton and Obama, and this is the alternative media. It's international. It's a bad word, man. You don't need change. You need to go back to square one. And, I'm not very religious, but maybe I am. Maybe I am in a true sense, because it's just that I don't like quoting the Bible and saying I have faith in Jesus and all this garbage. It's a matter of, just do it. Just do it. Just, you can say it's not through works. Oh, bullshit. If you got faith and your heart is in the right place, it's going to be through works. It's going to be shown in your works. You're not going to try to prove something to anybody. But if you really do have faith and you really are going after the truth, it's going to be in your works. And we don't need change, man. We need to go back to square one. And, long live the king. Anyway, I'll just... hell with that. Yeah, the king, man. Actually, if we had King Richard III back to the time of 1776, there probably wouldn't have been a revolution. But it looks like we got some bad people in the royalty today. And I'm going to point to that video again. And, excuse me for putting these channel on here about, I never even heard of this channel, the Alien Fossil Project. But controlled opposition is basically what the deal is. But I'm of the viewpoint, I'm not buying into the Jewish conspiracy theories left and right. It's too easy. It's too easy. And it's just like what I pointed out with the Nazis. I think a lot of those top guys got away with it because you don't hear Adolf Hitler was never found, Eva Braun was never found, there was some other top Nazis, I forget their names, never found. We also had Operation Paperclip, where top Nazis that did all this bad stuff got away with it. And we also had the Vril Society girls that, were doing all this wild stuff with, I don't know what the hell they were doing, with clairvoyance, whatever, find out all the top secret information for their weapons. They disappeared. And actually I'm going to put a link on the bottom of the UFO phenomenon. It may actually be Nazi technology. Part of it anyway, at least. And like I said, I don't know anything like gospel. I'm just saying, I entertain a thought. I try to back it up some rational reasoning. But it's not like, I'm not going to say I believe this and it has to be that way. It's like I entertain a thought without actually having to believe it. That's exactly how I think. And that goes with religion or anything else. Over and out.